I'm going to take you through the process of creating an option matrix using optioneering and how the system works. On the first screen, you'll actually see the ability to load a matrix you created earlier. We're not going to do this though, we're going to jump straight into creating a new one. On the first page, you'll see that we're asked how many options and criteria we want to enter. The criteria are the priorities and preferences you want to measure about your options. For example, how polluting something might be or how many people are affected. Then you need to enter how many options you want to compare. And finally, how many people will be involved in evaluating them. So, I'm going to have 3 criteria and 3 options and 4 participants. On the next screen, we actually provide the labels. So, I'm going to think about a scenario where libraries are closing. My 3 criteria are going to be access by public transport, opening hours, and the range of services delivered. I'm now going to name my 3 options. So number 1 is stay the same, number 2 is mobile libraries only, and number 3 is going to be an outsource model. Next, I can select whether to have the scoring work individually or by groups or by consensus. This really changes the number of inputs you can have on each criteria. You'll see more about this later. For now, I'm going to choose by group or individually. And finally, there's a question about how many groups you have in the room. So what you could do is take individuals and group them up to get a consensus score. I'm going to leave that as it is for now. The next screen is for determining the importance of each of my criteria. To do this, we need to find common weightings. Weightings are multipliers when we come to scoring. This screen performs something called force field analysis. Each participant is allocated 100 points and they can spread them across the 3 criteria in turn. As I now enter the number of points allocated, you'll see that the total is added up. And if it matches 100 points, then the row becomes green. Each participant scores in turn. You can see that all my rows are now green. Once you're complete, click the Calculate button and the averages are calculated. Then a rounded number is provided, and as long as this is green, you have now created average weightings for each criteria. You can proceed to scoring. This is the scoring screen. It contains the options left to right, and the criteria are listed vertically. The multipliers from the last screen are carried forward. Each criteria for each option has a number of boxes, depending on how many scores are to be collected. In this case, we set the number of groups to 2. Scores should be collected on a scale of 0 to 10, according to a scale which is provided here. At the bottom of the screen, you can enter a cost for each option. Cost benefits are calculated later. I'll enter some random scores for each criteria. Now I can go ahead and calculate the matrix. You'll see that a total score is shown. I can also see the workings out. The higher the score, the better. If you now click on Financials, you'll see that the cost benefits has also been calculated. There's a further tab called Analyze Results. This shows you how the options rank against each other, in terms of points but also cost benefits. At this point, it's a good idea to think about sensitivity testing. Sensitivity testing is a way of seeing if the ranking changes based on an alternative set of weightings. For example, you might put yourself in the shoes of a different stakeholder, in this case, say, a local politician. All you have to do is go over to Weighting Adjustments and you'll see this new screen. At the top line, you'll see the original weightings that were brought forward from the force field analysis, and underneath you can see an alternative set. So, if I thought that access by public transport was less important, I could reduce the rank. And if I thought that opening hours were perhaps more important, I can increase the weighting. Finally, if I thought that the range of services delivered was maybe slightly more important, I can adjust that too. And as long as these things go green, then you know that the total added up to 100. Next, I can click Sensitivity Test, and you will see that the numbers go yellow. This has applied the new weightings into the formula, and you can compare the new weightings with the old ratings. There are a whole range of other features and functionality to optioneering. For example, I can put the whole matrix in workshop mode, which increases the visibility of each scoring input so that these can be presented on a projector or on a board at the front of a room for workshop format scoring.